when I was like a grommet to the lowers contest, and Andy Irons won, and I picked up his board and I held it upside down because I had seen in photos people like held the board,
Yeah.
but I didn't know like you had to have the stickers. Like that's why they do it. I just thought
Oh,
like they
for
held the
sure.
board and shit. So
Sticker.
like Kay and Griffin and like all these kids totally made fun of me. They were like, dude, you held the board upside down. Like you didn't show any of the sponsors.
Oh, you
and shit.
held the fins
You
up?
know how people do that? Like behind the surfer that just
Yeah,
won?
yeah,
Like, I had
yeah.
it upside down because I didn't know, and I was just like, I'm gonna be the kid holding
With
the
the
board.
board,
I had
yeah.
no idea. So like, yeah, I was
Oh
definitely
man,
like,
that's legendary though. You like helped Andy get chaired up at lowers. Like that's pretty sick.
yeah, I had no idea. It was sick.
Wow. All right, what's up, guys? We got River Covey here, coming to you live. Appreciate you coming out, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
River's a bit of a ripper surfer with a unique kind of like traditional style of log mortar mid-length, like just really artistic way of like riding waves, and he's admired by myself and many, and he's like working through school right now to like pursue some things, and I really want to dive into that. But primarily I always like run into you and we just end up like within 30 seconds just like talking about some like life shit, and I just feel like, yeah, that's like super beautiful, and that's kind of what I like getting into, and especially on this, because it like helps people, and I don't know, it's just like the realness I appreciate with you. I've always appreciated your authenticity, and like you ask River how he's doing, and like he's gonna be like, here's what's going on. So appreciate that, man.
My dog. I always tell people whenever they ask how I'm doing, like I just finished my classes or I just started my classes. Yeah, I just always go straight to the school thing.
Yeah.
'Cause, like I just care so much about school. So I passed both my classes. I'm stoked.
Hell yeah.
Calculus 3 and artificial intelligence and machine learning. And moving on to the next stage is like super nice because it was a grind.
Man, yeah, there's some tough classes, and I feel like we've definitely bonded and connected over that grind a little bit. Like I went through that community college, like just grinding them out, dude, just getting those grades onto that transcript, and like,
yeah, shout out to anyone doing college,
yeah,
community, university,
seriously.
anything, school. So sick. Like all the groms, if you're like, I don't know if I should try, you should try. It's so sick to try. So much cooler.
Yeah, dude, you've like overcame a lot, and I think that's part of like why like school is so like epic, because it's like something that you can like do, and you have like some control over like this thing that you're gonna use to like propel you into like a greater purpose, and not only that, like kind of like get you out of a situation you might have been like brought into. And
Totally.
would you agree with some of that? Like,
Yeah, I mean that's why school is so impactful to me. Is like it feels like a way out, if that makes sense.
for sure.
I always tell people this, and they look at me kind of crazy, but I just felt like surfing for me was kind of like basketball for other people. Like if you could get good at it, it'll like totally change everything you got going on. Like your community, your resources, your opportunities. If you could just get good at something, people will celebrate you for that kind of thing.
Okay.
So when I was at Grom, I was like, oh, skating and surfing, like it's pretty easy. People let me ride their stuff. Like if I just get good enough at this, like maybe it'll help me out. And so even when I was really young, I was like, oh, I really want to go to college, but it didn't seem accessible. So I was like, if I get really good at surfing and get some support that way and meet new people and find new communities, I feel like I can, get involved in different demographics and things. And it worked out. Started surfing Santa a lot and prioritized my education. When a lot of people would like go have fun, I'd just be like, oh, I have to do honors pre-calc like later.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, honestly, it hasn't really paid off like super hard in like a super tangible way, but in like in a hard to describe kind of way, I could tell that my life would be like way different and probably not as enjoyable if I didn't like pursue mathematics and like take pride in my education and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like just looking at surfing and school and skateboarding and music and all that stuff, I looked at it as like a path out of like certain things.
Yeah, growing up was like you would show up at the beach and like you didn't have a board or anything, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't really like.
Yeah, I grew up in Mission Bay in San Diego,
Okay.
and like my dad wasn't really around. I'd like go with him sometimes, and he was in like Chula Vista and Barrio Logan and Logan Heights and like El Centro and National City, and if you know, you know, um, kind of seedier parts of San Diego.
For sure.
And
Most
so
definitely.
yeah, growing up around him, I just like hated it. And then when I was with my mom, she was just like stressed, like freaking out like all the time, pretty much.
Yeah, what was it? What was she freaking out about?
It's like, you know, raising two kids while you're single
Alone.
and like, yeah, dealing with like depression, dealing with like
Oh,
being surrounded by substance abuse, you know, financial instability, not having like her parents being super supportive of her. My dad's
yeah.
parents weren't involved.
Right.
Dad's not involved. So it kind of fell onto her.
Damn.
So she really did her best. You know, it wasn't super easy for her. And sometimes I'd be like, oh, like, you're so annoying. But then it's like, I'm getting mad at one parent for the anger that I would have for both parents, which is kind of deep. But like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just feel for single moms and like, always wanted to take that weight off of her shoulders. You know, like, didn't even, like, I'd hate to like ask for certain things, even like maybe like basic necessities and stuff, because I was just like, oh, she's got so much on her plate. My brother got injured when he was younger, and he lost vision in his eye, and so, and
just one of the eyes.
yeah, he got a stick thrown in his eye,
Oh,
and
no.
then it went through his pupil and his cornea, and he had to get like 100 stitches in his eyeball when he was like 5.
Oh.
And at that time, we were going to an all Spanish school in San Diego because it was like the closest one, I guess.
So are you completely fluent?
Yeah, hablo en español un poco. Me fue a una escuela en
Un
la escuela
poco.
se llama Escuela Longfellow y practicaste mi español por como 6 años y después de esto solo platicando con mis amigos en restaurante y cosas como así. Like,
Yeah.
I like kind of learned Spanish.
No,
like,
that's better than I can.
but anyone that speaks Spanish is like laughing at me for sure. like, and so yeah, my brother was just like injured and, you know, a white kid in a all Spanish school in like super South San Diego. So
Wow, okay. That's crazy.
my mom had a lot on her plate, like helping him out. And so I just kind of like would be skating and like hanging out by myself and like making friends. And, you know, I didn't want
You
to
didn't
give
want to
her-
like
yeah.
You're just like trying to take care of yourself at such a young age.
Not even like thinking like that, like how can I help my mom and my brother? You know, like I didn't even think about like taking care of myself. It was just like that was like
Interesting.
a requirement.
Yeah.
And then like on top of my requirement to support myself, I had to make sure like mom was eating and like getting up and stuff, and like my brother is like, you know, doing okay. Like my brother's older, so we have a weird relationship and shit like that. But
Okay.
yeah, it was definitely like a lot of dysfunction in the family.
Interesting. Yeah. How old were you at that point when you were like kind of doing some of that stuff you just mentioned?
I remember being like 5 or 6 and watching like prostitutes walk into my house, like, and my mom just like sitting on the couch like catatonic, like,
Why would they walk in?
because my dad would like be having him come over, you know, he'd be like doing like drugs, you know,
Wow.
and my mom would just be sitting on the couch like not talking or doing anything and shit.
Wow.
I was like 5 or some shit, so that was just like the environment
You didn't know
I grew
what-
up in, yeah.
Right.
So all I thought about was just like, oh, if my dad's screaming at my mom, like distract him, you know, start some shit with him, like get my mom out of
Interesting.
there, kind of thing, like shit like that. So
Damn.
yeah, I like didn't even think about like how's baby River doing, like until like way later, and I was like, oh shit, like.
So yeah, at one point you're like made the way up to Sano, I guess. Like
Yeah, so my house,
I mean, when did you is that where you learned to surf?
yeah, like my parents got a house when like in like the 2000s when like it was super easy, and then like in 2009 everyone's house got foreclosed, and so like my parents' house got foreclosed at that time,
Yeah.
and so my mom moved to Oceanside, and then she had a boyfriend in Capo Beach,
Okay.
and then so she started going and hanging out with him all the time, and then that's when I was like more and more around the beach and stuff.
Cool.
So then eventually my mom was working in Del Mar in San Diego, and I was sleeping on a futon with my brother and a dog and a cat at her boyfriend's house when I was like 9. And then she would drop me off at Lowers with no board and no food at 7 in the morning, and then pick me up at 7 at night because she had to
Wow.
drive to Del Mar and San Diego and then drive back for work.
Right.
You know, worked
So,
at 9 to
but she
5.
would drive up
Yeah, so she like dropped me off
from Oside.
from Del Mar. Like she would drop me off at 7 in the morning, drive 2 hours to Del Mar, San Diego, work till 5, get off, and then
Yeah.
drive back up and then pick me up at Lowers.
And then go back to Oside.
No, and then go back up to Dana Point.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
'cause that's where her boyfriend was. And
Got
shit
it,
like
got
that.
it.
So, but yeah, no, pretty much it was like Oceanside, and then we go up here, and then come back down there, like start up here and go down there. But I was always just getting dropped off at the beach with no board. So I'd like
Wow.
walk up to Fools and just be like, "Can I ride your board?" And no one at Lowers let me.
Oh, that's so funny. Last time I surfed with you at Malibu, I was like, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you gonna get back out there?" And you're like, "Someone just asked me to borrow my board, and no one does that anymore. So he's out there riding it."
Yeah, that made me so happy. I was like, "Yeah, someone's doing it."
So I'm like, "Yeah, he's gonna ride my board today." And
Hell
like,
yeah.
you were just chilling on the beach. I was like, "Damn, that's sick," you know.
Yeah.
And Malibu's like, people swap boards and stuff, but like, it was just a random. You didn't know him.
Totally, yeah. Like, cause that's how like Lowers was. I would like walk up to like Griffin and his dad and to me like, "Sorry, bud." Like, not mean. Like, I really like them, but they were
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
like as a surfer, I wouldn't let some kid ride my board.
No, for
Totally get
sure.
it.
And especially if you're like doing that kind of surfing, it's a
Yeah.
little different.
Totally. And
You know,
then
you got like 8-ounce like full in, and like, yeah, bro, just take it, But then you have like some little
4
lost,
ounce.
like
yeah, exactly. And he's
Thing-
training. He's like
Oh,
doing
he's-
massive airs, and I don't get it. Like, this is a funny story. I'm just super embarrassed about this, but when I was like a Grom went to the Lowers contest, and Andy Irons won, and I picked up his board and I held it upside down because I had seen in photos people like held the board,
yeah.
But I didn't know like you had to have the stickers. Like that's why they do it. I just thought like, they
for
held
sure.
up the board and shit. So
Stickers.
like Kay and Griffin and like all these kids totally made fun of me. They were like, "Dude, you held the board upside down. Like you didn't show any of the sponsors."
Oh, you
and shit."
held the fins
You
up.
know how people do that? Like behind the surfer that just
Yeah,
won?
yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
had it upside down because I didn't know, and I was just like, "I'm gonna be the kid holding
With the board,
I had no
yeah.
idea. So like, yeah, I was definitely
Man,
like,
that's legendary though. You like helped Andy get chaired up at Lowers. Like that's pretty sick.
yeah,
And-
I had no idea. It was sick.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, what I was gonna finish that last part was like I would get dropped off, and none of the shortboard guys were super keen, so I'd I knew about Santa, so I'd go to Santa, and then there'd be all these guys like drinking and rolling spliffs and shit.
Right, you're
And
like-
they would be like, "Yeah, ride my board." And I was like, "Yo, these guys are really chill. Like, these are my people,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
They all look poor. They're all rich, but they look poor."
Right.
And so I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna fit in here. Like, they're not gonna know if I'm rich or poor. Like, they can't differentiate." So
Yeah.
it's kind of how I got into
Well, what a
Santa.
clash. I mean, I don't know if Griff necessarily, I don't want to like point, like, but Lowers is just like such a funny scene. Like, I mean, think about it. Like, you're all at Lowers, and like most of those kids, especially now, they've got coaches. They're homeschooled. Like, their parents have money, resources, like
Olympic
healthy
athletes.
marriages.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, you're showing up to Lowers just like, bro.
So
like,
cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? I just like slept on this futon and like I'm gonna be here for 12 hours. Like,
Yeah,
can I just get a little?
straight up.
And it's just crazy, man. You just don't know what people are going through. Like showing up at school, like what's going on at home. Like,
Yeah, they were all really cool. Like when I got older and had some longboards and shit, like they would like ride my boards. Like I'd be riding like a V2 rocket and like blowing tail and like never rode a shortboard before. And like I'd see some kid like on my log and I'd be like, so it was cool.
so
You know?
you would like swap boards with them and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you would surf Lowers.
Yeah, I like hella took pride in like surfing
Lo-
lowers on
lo-
my log.
Hell yeah. That's
'Cause
what's up.
I remember Greg Long used to do that, like when he was a Grom.
Oh, really?
And then he told me that one time out there, he was like, "I used to be the angry Grom on a longboard at Lowers." I was like, sick, dude, like, so I thought it was sick. But then after I turned 18, don't surf Lowers after 18 on a longboard. Don't do it at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but especially after 18, it's like, I don't know, when I was younger, people would be like, "Oh, shortboard, like longboard Grom, he's, but then when I got
Yeah.
older, it was like, people were just like, so,
Yeah.
you
Fuck
can't
you.
fight in surfing anymore, like, at all.
No,
Like-
not really. I mean, there's
like-
a couple at Malibu every year, but
But like, I mean,
Has
Like,
there been one?
let me rephrase that. Like, as a civil engineering student, I can't be getting in fights. You know, like it would just like
Right.
I didn't choose that path. I chose like a different path.
Good for you. No,
So-
good for you. Yeah.
Because like you can't get in fights, or you're gonna go to jail. You know.
Someone's gonna film it.
Yeah,
you know,
there'll be
it's
a
gonna
phone
end
or
up on
some
the
shit,
social
yeah.
media, and like someone's gonna like.
But surfing wasn't always like that.
No.
It was like
it's-
I heard a story of some dude like pulling a shotgun out and being like, "Get the fuck away from me!" and the locals being like, "I'm gonna beat your ass," kind of thing. Like in this one movie, I'm sure someone watching this has seen it. But yeah, crazy localism. I've heard what's his name putting one of the Lunada Bay guys putting razor blades in the nose of a surfboard, like
Gnarly.
having,
Yeah.
like a little slit in it,
Pointing
and having
out.
razor blades in it, and then shooting it at people. Like, dude, imagine that in surfing today. You can't even be like, "Fuck you" without someone. You know, like it would be like
Yeah,
they would like.
What's your problem, bro?
Yeah. But back then it was like people straight up like scrapping and shit.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
surf culture
For
changed
sure.
a
Used to
lot.
like take dudes to the beach and like all that stuff.
Do you feel that? I like in my head exist in like, you know, late 90s, early 2000s surfing, which wasn't anything like the 80s or 90s, but
Right.
it was still a little bit like I surfed creek, I was scared. Like I surfed
For sure.
even Pleasure Point when I was a grom and I was like, I'm gonna get my shit stolen, you know, and like but now that I'm older, it's like totally different, you know, it's like not as vibey and like people like I don't feel like everyone's gonna beat the shit out of me all the time.
No, I mean it's just like what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, I finally feel safe. I think that there's a couple spots that you could still get kind of at least talk to.
Yeah.
Getting physical, it's pretty unlikely, especially if you like understand and you know you've
Right.
grown up surfing. Like, but
I watched the dude burn Alan Sarlo and then push Alan Sarlo. The dude that did it was on like a yellow tri-fin longboard with a leash.
oh,
Like, I was like staring at Alan, like, what is he gonna do? You know, and like it's not like he like went up and beat the shit out of him or anything, but like I was just like in my head, like, imagine being a like Dogtown guy and getting burned
And
by a
having-
dude like that and getting pushed, and then like knowing that everyone's looking and being like, how do I respond to that? And he was super. It seemed like I don't know what happened, but it seemed like Sarlo paddled up to him and just like had some words with him.
for sure, you have to have a few words.
Have you heard of the Sarlo smash when he like went up to a dude's board and like broke it in half like that? Like,
Well,
have you heard that? So it's different. I don't know. It's like, would he have Sarlo smashed
Well,
that
I
fool?
think-
Like-
I mean, yeah, I think since like all that stuff happened, with like Andy and stuff, like
With the
stuff's like chilled out quite a bit.
on like what was it like he with the kid's board?
Yeah,
That rock.
yeah.
That was
I
like the
mean,
coolest
like
thing ever.
just dude, growing up, bro, we had to mind our P's and Q's,
Yeah, sure.
and that's sort of how we kind of grew up, and it was almost like a rite of passage, dude. You were that shit snot nosed grom, and you were getting punked by the older bros,
Totally.
and you weren't getting good waves, and you had to show respect, and then eventually you got your respect,
Or
and
you
it
got
took-
smoked.
or you got smoked.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think people kind of take this like peaceful thing like a little bit too far sometimes, and like
Mhm.
every now and then just order needs to be restored.
I back
And,
that.
I mean, nothing wrong with that.
The Reddit thread that I saw the Andy thing. For anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, some kid got in an altercation with a OG guy at Malibu, and OG guy like put a rock through
That's
the
a good
kid's
way to
board.
put it. Yeah.
Like, and so there's this
Yeah.
Reddit thread talking about it, and everyone on the Reddit thread's like, fuck Andy, and like, I'm the biggest Andy fan around. Like, I fucking think that guy's so cool. Like, I don't even give a fuck. Like, I think he's so sick. And so I commented something like, Andy's OG, and like, dude, the thread blew up on me. They were like, your mom should have swallowed you. Like, all this like really fucked up shit. I deleted the comment because I'm sensitive. I was like, don't say mean things. Like, I'm gonna cry and shit. But no, they fully attacked me because I tried to stand up for Andy on that one, and I was like, dude, like, no,
Yeah.
Andy's doing exactly what surfing is. That brings me to a question that I want to ask you.
Uh-oh.
Is localism xenophobia?
Surfing is a lot like capitalism in this way, where like,
Right.
and I'm actually kind of I like capitalism. I just think that we need to do it more consciously. And there's a really good book about that by the founder of Whole Foods.
So you like capitalism? We should just do it more consciously.
It needs to be like more consciously. Yeah, but
I back that because
we can go.
Yeah,
we can go down that. But it's almost like, you know, a lot of things, like, not in all cases, but, you know, it's like the money, like the rich get richer type of thing. Like, you know, like that's kind of like, there's some pretty supportive statistics, and it's not to take away from someone like me and you. We have opportunity as well, you know, and
yeah, drop of water in the desert.
Think about this.
A drop of water in the ocean adds to the ocean.
Yeah. So think about this is like, it's sort of like that. If you think, just, we're talking about Malibu. If you're a good surfer and you're from there, like, let's just think about skill. If you're already a good surfer, the waves are flowing to you. Right? Isn't that, it's a trip. Totally. So to answer your question about, is it xenophobic? I don't know if that's necessarily the right term, because I think there's multi-variables, and let's get in, like, almost like an equation, right? I think you can go skill. I think you can go respect. I think you can go if you were born there. I think you can go your demeanor, time spent, your demeanor in the lineup, how you carry yourself, which has a lot of correlation with how good you are, right?
Totally.
And what types of waves you grew up around, right? Because the more like heavy waves you surf, or like the more heavy dudes, the more you kind of know how to navigate and respect who you need to respect.
Yeah, it's not black and white for sure.
Right. So I feel like it's such a combination of things, and to put a term, but yeah, I mean, how do you, I mean, this is just such a deep one that you could go down, but that's I think it's an equation with a lot of different variables.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And in my opinion, it's like, to like make it as easy to talk about as possible. It's like, you can be like born there and like essentially just like inherit that thing and become a local that way, or you could put in time and through merit become a local. And so I think that's interesting, because there's some spots where it's like you can't just put in your time and become a local,
right?
You know, like you have to be in that like, almost feels like you have to be born into this thing to be a part of it, where it's like there's no like way to access it unless you were just like preordained at birth to receive, like, you know what I'm trying to say, like, kind of. But then there's other spots where it's like, I'm not from Malibu, and like I'm not a local at Malibu, but like I got homies. Like, you know, like some people would be like, oh dude, like you're here all the time and stuff like that. So to me, like, you're there all the time and shit, like you could be kind of loked out, but that doesn't mean you're like a local, you know, and shit like that.
Well,
so,
I mean, and this is where I think that equation comes in, where it's like you're sort of like respected in the community. You show your face, you show up, you're not like a complete asshole. You're not getting into shit with like the homies up there. I've never seen you get into shit with really anyone.
I try to stay away
but
from shit.
That's where that comes into play, where it's like, and here's the other part. Here's the other side of that coin. There could be a dude that's lived in Malibu his whole life, but he just doesn't have the caliber of surfing that you have, and you're probably gonna get more favorable waves and just have a better experience because.
But he'll be considered more local than I am, because he's from here. Even if he doesn't put in the time and doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you go off the term local, but you know, the whole thing about like, yeah, and I don't know, like, I'm just saying, like, the whole point is like to get fun waves, right?
Of surfing?
Yeah. Well, not the whole point, just like, yeah, like you want to get fun waves. You want to have access to those. So, I guess what I'm saying is like, yeah, okay, he'll be like a quote unquote local, but you're probably getting like the better opportunities in the water.
I like that. It's like, even if all these people are like, oh, he's looked out, your brain is thinking like, well, you're getting the sick one. So like, what really matters? Like, yeah. Yeah, I guess, no, that's why I thought it was such an interesting thing. And I think you nailed it with like, there's a lot of different factors at play, because like, I think localism could verge on being xenophobic, where it's like, if you're not from here, get the fuck out. But then if that, you only get that by being affluent, you know, I think that's kind of whack. But then like, you could put in time and shit at places. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. But localism changed recently in the last couple of decades in surfing, I think, from like 70s surfing to 2024 surfing, localism is like a whole new thing, you know, if that
Can you
makes
try to get a little closer? Like you're
I
just kind of
can.
drifting a little bit. You're drifting a little bit. It's those white claws are pulling you away. um, yeah. I mean, I didn't really anticipate to talk about localism, but
It was like an inertia post that got me like on this. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, it's interesting. It's like you're right, man. It's like if you're trying to like listen, like you carry yourself a certain way and you make a decision, but there's sort of like a collective consciousness around like what goes on at certain lineups and who does what and who sits where, and that's just kind of how it is. And it's just like almost like a natural selection, like a pecking order of sorts.
Totally.
And that's how kind of things are. People are kept safe, in my opinion, especially at some of the dangerous waves. People are kept safe because of a pecking order.
Yeah. Bigger deal when it's like a wave of consequence.
For sure.
Yeah.
But even at Malibu, like, dude, I've seen guys like do really stupid stuff, like burn a chick and then like their board, like, and just totally like, you know, put a 10-foot board in some chick's like on some chick's head. Yeah. And it's just kind of like, and I'm like, you know, like I'm one of those guys that if I'm nearest to that, I'm paddling over there, and I'm just telling, and I don't know the guy, and I'm like, you know, hey man,
with you on that.
Like,
yeah.
What the fuck is that? And it's like some chick that you see like surf Malibu every day, and you're kind of like, dude, like what was that, dude? What's going on?
I've had that. You know that guy, tall guy Grant at the beach?
Yeah,
Super tall. His girlfriend literally got burned by a dude, and the board went into her head, and he popped up and laughed and paddled away. And I was like, the fuck's your problem, dude? And then he looked
Grant
at her.
Or
no, his girlfriend,
chick,
who's like, she's like, you know, she's like a little.
He's like tall dude that flies like a drone and stuff, right?
Yeah. And his girlfriend's like, he's really, really tall, and she's like short. But I don't know if I'm being mean. I don't want to be mean. You should cut this entire part out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna have to edit this.
Anyway, yeah, some dude hit her in the head with a board, and I screamed at him because I was right there and saw it, and I was like, I'm not just gonna paddle away.
Oh, nice.
You know,
yeah.
like,
I mean, so that's the thing, right? Is like, yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. You're sort of just like, hey, dude, like I know, it's a fucking free for all over there, and like everyone knows it. But at the same time, it's sort of like, you know, some people need to be. They didn't grow up in the same culture that we did. They're out there surfing. They maybe have gotten good. They've gotten better, and they're able to get waves at a spot like Malibu. But they need to kind of understand, like, dude, you can't be putting other people's like health and safety at risk.
Yeah, etiquette.
Yeah,
etiquette's important.
Shred-etiquette.
Shred-etiquette.
We should write a book about shred-etiquette. That's amazing. And your surfing is like, you know, definitely pretty unique for, I think, kind of like our generation. Like you kind of have like a really cruisy kind of gliding, like non-force, like you don't really force anything, and you get the job done, man. Are you having a lot of fun still? Like is surfing really like, are you stoked on it right now?
Yeah, surfing is so fun. Like longboarding, I get a little bored, not gonna lie, just because like how many times can you do a drop knee and hang 10? After a while, you're like, all right. Like I watch videos of people getting like hella shacked and doing giant airs, and like I'd shortboard more than a longboard.
Oh yeah,
I just suck at it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, like, but I like really want to do an air reverse.
Hell yeah.
Like I'm just like all the time trying to do air reverses, but I don't surf shortboard waves, so it's like.
Oh, so how are you? Where are you trying to do this?
Like Sano and shit. Like I love I love trying to do air reverses at Sano.
That's hilarious.
Like, so I just be shortboarding all the time at waves that you don't really shortboard, and I like, I don't know, I kind of like to be weird. I was born with the name River, so right off the bat, people are just like, you're different.
It's a sick name though.
It's cool, but you ever like been at a job interview and introduce yourself as River? Like they look at you like, okay, Rainbow Sunshine. You're like, all right, I wish my name was fucking Tyler. Like,
what's your brother's name?
Zane. Super normal name, yeah.
Pretty.
No, my brother's named after Zane Grey, the fisherman, and I'm named after a book called River, and it's about a 70-year-old man who went from Canada to Mexico in a river without a motor. Through the United States.
Canada to Mexico. Interesting. What river?
The Mississippi.
Wow.
Badass book, yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's sick. So everyone's always like, are you named after River Phoenix? And I'm like, no, it's a Colin Fletcher book. It's an old ass dude who like went down a river. Yeah, I don't know why
Wow.
I don't know why the fuck they called me that. I don't know. My
Yeah.
dad decided. But my mom went to this birth lady, and the lady was like, "Your baby's dehydrated. Like, you need to give birth, and he needs to come out like a river, like flowing with water."
Mm.
And then that's how she got my name, apparently. But yeah, that I don't know. Growing up in grade school and all that stuff, like people just always like river, like kind of treat me like a little
I
weird.
feel like nowadays, if you were like a kid, that would be pretty normal. Like, there's so many kids just named like.
Kids named Apple and shit now, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
in '98, it was like
weirdest.
it was like not super normal, like people were like okay, but yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, when your friends' names like
Um,
Jason and Jacob and Josh and Kyle and your name River, I was like, all right, I'm kind of weird. So I got super into that. I was like, I don't fit in always, that's okay. Like I could be different. So
Yeah.
I kind of gravitated towards that, and that is a big part of like everything I do. Like I don't know if you can tell, like the back of my hair is short.
I saw that when we
The
were
front's
walking.
long.
Yeah, I was like,
Anyone that's wondering, there's a show called Naruto, and this girl gets her hair. Someone's like grabbing this girl by the back of her hair, and so she takes out this ninja knife, and she like cuts her hair off, and it's all dramatic, so she could like get away from the person that's like grabbing her hair. It's all symbolic of her like growing as a person and shit.
Nice.
And so that was me. I was like, life's got me by the back of the head, so I cut my hair off, to get away from that shit, because that shit's like impactful to me. And then like I like riding longboards at like Creek and Lowers. I like shortboarding at Santa. Just
Sick.
like different shit. Like I
Yeah.
love Little Peep. I love Juice World. I
Uh-huh.
think they're so sick.
Okay. Um. Okay, I wanted to say something about you and your error verses, actually.
Oh, cool.
So not that I'm like a, Arrowverse legend or anything, but I was able to. I was like always can do like little straight errors and
Mhm.
like do like and never like roll out of a Arrowverse. And like one day I like this dude sold me a fish beard for like $100. I mean no, a neck beard with a chopped off tail.
It's like
You know,
all
the
Merrick
neck
Dan
beard-
Reynolds, right?
The Dane Reynolds with the
Yeah.
tail's like that fat. And I was surfing like 3-foot wave at El Porto, and it was just like first one I ever tried. I was like dink, and I spun it around, and I was like, oh my
You
gosh.
did it.
And that was like kind of a cheat code because that tail, like something about it. I mean, Dane's like cracked a lot of different codes with
Mhm.
board design, and like that's for sure one of them because like I just couldn't swing it around for some reason.
Something about that board.
It just like, and that's why I think all those guys ride it in the wave pools and shit because so yeah, I mean, I don't know if like an
So you're telling me
$800.
to get a neck
I don't
beard.
know if an $800 like freshie out of the shop is like in the cards right now as a student, but
I'll tell you what.
Al Merrick, if you're watching this, River is gonna huck an air reverse or Brit or actually that dude's actually super chill actually.
Is he?
Yeah.
don't
I
know.
mean, from my experience,
shout
just
out,
like
shout out to Brett or
think it's
Brett Merrick.
Brit.
Brit. I had
I
three
feel
white
like
claws.
just every time I see him, he's just like, yo, what's up?
Honestly, I've seen videos of him and I was like fully scared. So if he was watching this, like,
Yeah, it's like you see those, like you
I'm
see
kinda
so.
scared of him,
No,
for
for
sure.
sure. You
That
see,
beard,
it's the beard.
Big ass
like,
beard.
Like yeah, like
yeah.
I feel like if you see him at like RingCon, it's firing. Like, don't talk to him, but
You
like
see the
any
beard
other
and
spot.
you're
What's up? Like,
What kind of human is he? Like, would he be soaked on this?
all
Brett,
right,
if you're
all right.
watching, so much love. I love your boards.
Yeah, he needs a neck beard ASAP, and he's gonna huck an air reverse
Yeah, that'd be sick.
and then get sponsored by Walmart.
I did want to say, as far as tail secrets go, Alan Sarlo, his tail's like a fucking inch thick.
Right.
It's
yeah.
crazy. I like watched him walk down the lot because who doesn't stare at Alan when he walks down the lot
I
kind
mean,
of thing.
it's just
you know?
like, yeah,
Yeah, it's
peak
good.
male performance.
Peak DILF. Like,
Actually, he's like coming off like I think like a knee injury or something, right?
I don't know. He
Yeah.
literally looks. I'll be like, "Hi, Alan," and he'll like nod at me. But he followed me on Instagram.
Oh,
He was already following my brother. Pissed me the fuck off. I'm like, my
Yeah.
bro don't put in time. Like I put in that time, and my brother
I
had to
don't
follow.
even think I met your brother.
That's what I mean. Why is
Yeah.
Alan following him?
Maybe he thought he was you or something.
That's what I thought. Don't say that. My brother might get sad.
Okay,
But fuck my brother. What
yeah.
you saying? Little punk ass bitch.
Yeah, actually, Yeah, I do have like a couple little Alan stories since you brought him up. Like, yeah, I just like was over on Hawaii last winter, and dude,
Dude, you
guys,
shred in Hawaii. Holy shit, bro. I saw
dude,
it. Kaya, my friend Kaya's here.
yo,
This man backdoor the pipeline, fucking charging. I was like, that's my boy. I was like, that's my boy.
appreciate that, man. Yeah,
You know what I mean.
not really. I'm just taking what you're saying literally because.
You're literally my boy then.
Oh my gosh, where did you come from, Mr. Covey?
Mission Bay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, East Bay.
San Diego.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Yo, yeah, you're from like
5'3".
you're from like Dago.
Dago.
Like you're from like
No, like my
Dago.
my Uncle
like,
George.
Chula Vista, National City.
My
Like,
Uncle George
that's,
has
like,
white tattooed on his back. It's his last name, but like and he has Dago on his neck, bro.
Oh my
and on his
gosh.
knuckles got
Yeah.
Dago right here.
You're from
619 Dago.
you're from the 619.
Oh, it's a little fun story. So
Yeah.
my Uncle George,
Wait,
his
can I tell you about Alan? Just, I mean, this is the story,
I'm a-
dude. Charging like big bombs at like 60 something, and like, okay, yeah, tell me about your uncle. You know what I'm saying? That's the Alan
I'm
story. It's
lost.
like you
I'm
lost. No, it's just like you see him at Malibu, boom, 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 and then you paddle out and like sunset, and you're like, whoa, Alan's out here, and you're like, whoa, it's like fucking 10 foot, and he's like ripping, like getting the sick ones.
like at sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's like Malibu, but like it's 10 foot. And he's like getting the sick
Doing
ones.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're like, wait.
No, that's funny you say that because I saw his video on Instagram. We posted him at sunset, and I was like, so that's where you go in the winter. And then he responded, every year for 30 years. And I was
Yeah.
like, what a fucking gangster, bro. Like,
Yeah. Dude, yeah, it was so wild. I didn't actually know that. And like I was at Hollywood Joe's one day, and he just fucking popped out of the bathroom at Hollywood Joe's. I was like,
like the fuck?
Sarlo? Like, what the fuck are you doing here, dude? And he was like with some mutual friends of like the family I was staying with, and it was just like a complete vibe.
That's sick.
But it's just different over there, man.
Hawaii?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, dude, the waves just,
Terrifying.
yeah, for
And
sure.
beautiful. Yeah.
But also like, you know, you go over there or just anywhere but here, you go over there and you ride like, you know, I grew up shortboarding, man. Like I grew up like, you know, riding shortboards.
Ripping.
Trying my best, you know. And you go over there and you're like, whoa, I can turn. I like forgot because like, yeah, like
we don't get waves here.
not really. I
Yeah.
mean, and like you like do a turn and then
No, if I went out there, I'd be like, I can't turn. This is crazy.
I think you'd have a sick time. I think you'd really like a couple waves over there for sure. Like
went once when I was
Sunset,
15.
I like Sunset a lot.
Oh, my Uber Eats. Or is that you?
My phone.
I work Uber Eats. That's a horrible trip. It was $4.14.
Anyways, who are you stoked on right now? Like, you know, I mean, as far as like surfing wise goes, like who are you enjoying? And kind of like your sort of scene, I guess, and your side of things. Like, who are you watching right now? Aussie guys, like Malibu guys, like
The last time I
Sano.
got asked this question, I said, no one, because my generation is disappointing.
Yeah, explain that. Elaborate on that.
I kind of still feel like that.
Yeah,
But
for
it's such
sure.
a cunty thing to say.
Yeah.
But,
no,
like-
speak your truth, man.
I feel that super hard. Like surfing is really cool, but I feel like there's a lot more that we could be working on.
Okay, yeah.
So anyone that's kind of just working on surfing related things, I'm like, I back it super hard, but then I'm like, I feel like there's more to life than just shredding and just getting tubed and just girls and parties and stuff like that, you know? So I feel like a lot of my generation, their head is at like, they want to be like a famous surfer and influencer and be with hot chicks and shit. Like, I get it. I see the temptations and shit, but I think it's important that we like have a positive impact on the future generations and shit like that. And so, yeah, as far as my generation goes, I just like don't see that people give a fuck, you know? I feel like Instagram has like changed people's perspectives to be like ultra consumed in themselves, which I'm guilty of. Like I Instagram the fuck out, you know, and shit like
Yeah.
that. So I'm just as bad as everyone else in my generation. It's not like they're worse and I'm better or some shit like that. I just have overall disapproving feeling towards like my generation.
Okay.
That's probably just like me like not being that stoked on where I'm at and then like putting that on everyone else and shit like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting question because it's
For
like
sure.
I don't really get that hyped on people. I'm kind of like I can't.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, there's a couple things and couple directions and thoughts I have about that, but I think one of the things is like, yeah, like I mean, you know, when you actually sit with someone and you kind of hear what's going on in their life and hear the struggles and hear the like perseverance they've had to go through to get to where they're at, then your perception kind of changes. But yeah, when you just see the Instagram or like, I'm not really sure who exactly you're referring to, and I don't really need to know who you're referring to specifically.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's anyone I'm referring to.
Yeah, I mean,
you
just a
know?
general like collective, but
Yeah, the Instagram generation.
okay,
of
are you talking about
surfers.
like hipster single fin Instagram, or are you talking like lowers like Instagram?
From like the Olympic level to like kneeboarding?
You're
Like the whole deal.
damn,
Yeah,
damn.
like
You want
whole,
the smoke with like
yeah,
everyone.
Like, I'm beef with. I'm a
You're
diss rapper.
yeah,
Like,
you're beefing with
yeah,
everyone.
beefing with the whole thing.
The whole,
No, I
yo,
beef with
he's
the world,
calling
bro.
out.
Fuck
He's
the world.
calling out
like,
everyone right now. Like,
I still love you guys and shit.
what
but,
about
like,
boogie boarders?
Like,
Are you calling them out? Do you want the smoke with the boogies?
yo, not really, because they're kind of scary, bro. Like, I grew up at Creek.
They kind of are.
The
dude.
Sponge Pit, Salt Creek too.
They kind of are.
I watched Nakai Shitley. Actually,
They're sleepy, but they're sleepers like you would never expect it. But
gotta
like
take that part.
actual,
You
like
gotta bleep that name.
real bugs, like real like
They're fucking
they're
scary,
gnarly,
bro.
dude.
Yeah.
They go for the gnarliest waves. They like super dialed. They're pulling in. They're surfing the sketchy waves.
A boogie boarder made me not want to
And
ever surf pipe.
They'll also like fuck you up too.
Yeah,
If-
I watched a boogie boarder drop 2 stories into the flats on his stomach, and I went, I ain't doing that. I ain't never doing that. I don't think I'll ever surf pipe if that's what pipe is. Like, this boogie boarder, it was like mid-April, like trade winds, and this guy was out at fucking like pumping pipe, and
oh
just
my,
top to bottom, like fell to the
just-
flats and pulled in, and I was like, I'm
oh my
not
gosh!
like that.
Did he come out?
No, he died. I was like, dude, you're fucking out of your mind, bro. I was like in the kiddie piss pool, like watching these
Just-
fools, and I was
yeah.
like, you guys are. So yeah, no smoke with the boogie boarders.
Okay, you don't want smoke. So the boogie boarders are safe, but you want smoke with a dude riding a twin fin, a dude riding a mega fish, a dude riding a.
Unless he's like helping someone, like if you're, yeah, kind of.
Okay.
You know, like if you're like cool, then like you're so sick. But if you're
I
not,
feel like you're like. You're kind of like calling everyone out, but you're also just like the nicest dude. Like
Yeah,
you're
for
always
real.
saying hi to everyone.
No, I
and
don't
you're
want beef with anyone, but like I have beef with all of you guys. And this is like I want to be honest. I want to be honest with you. Like, please let me be honest with you.
cool. Okay. What about boards? Like, what do you know? I think people make you boards here and there. Or like, what's going on with that? Are you stoked on anything? Do you want to ride anything new? Like,
My boards are ass right now.
okay.
I have no longboards that work.
Okay.
I
that's-
can't shortboard, but I have shortboards. So that's kind of where I'm at. I have no longboards and I can shortboard, but I suck at it.
That's the funny thing about surfing is like I feel like once you get to a certain point, you're like, oh, like none of my boards work. Like I feel like that.
No, straight up.
I say that like I don't like saying that because it's like so negative, but I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like none of these boards work. I'll still surf them,
Right.
but they don't really work. The only board I really like right now is my 7.0. It's just like a 7.0 like blacks board basically, or like if it gets like big around here, like you know South Bay or something like in the winter. But it's interesting, man. Like, what do you think about like? I've been kind of thinking about this a lot, like negativity in surfing, you know, like, and I'm trying to like, I'll try to frame that up for you because like, this is some of the stuff you were talking about with like, I'm kind of over it. There's better things we can be doing. Like, fuck, dude, I can't help myself. Like, I'll be in like such a good mood sometimes. And like, everything is just cruising and I'm like feeling good and like in my body and at peace. And then like, I'll drive like over the hill and like look at the waves in like Venice or like South Bay. And it's like 2 foot and windy. And immediately I'm just like, fuck, like it's so bad. Like, I'm just like, I just become this like bitter dude. Like, you know, I just become like bitter and I'm like, whoa, like what's up with that? You know, like why am I fucking bitter? Cause yeah, I look out there when it's like 2 foot and windy and onshore and I'm just like pissed.
Kind of when you do your best turns though.
Yeah, yeah, just go out there like, yeah. We used to like when I was at Grom, I'd like watch clips and just get so fired up, like watch some super shitty like, and then I would go out there and like think I was like, I don't know. Back then I was watching like Bruce and shit.
You're like, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, best turn I ever did. My girlfriend cheated on me.
Yeah, yeah.
then
I
her-
kind of remember that, dude.
The guy that came up to me that she hooked up with and was like, we're friends and shit, so fuck that fool. But he came up to me.
Yeah, that dude. We definitely have smoke with that guy.
He came up to me and he was like, hey, nothing personal, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm not going to say what I said, but essentially like a wave came and I was like, I'm going to hit the shit out of this section. And then I did. And then when I came in, my buddy was like, I saw you talking to that guy. I know you got beef. And then I saw you do that turn and it was such a beautiful turn. And I was like,
Wait, was that Sam Heck?
no, I love Sam. He's
okay.
my dog.
Yeah,
That's my
Sam,
dog.
boy, yeah,
No,
for
this is
sure.
someone else.
Dude.
But no, yeah, the anger really fueled.
No, not
fueled that
Sam
turn.
Heck, like the one
Oh.
that cheated on. But was it Sam? Like,
That supported me.
yes.
No, it was AJ. AJ
Okay,
Bialik.
'cause something happened like so similar to that.
Sam's my
last
dog,
summer.
though. I
Yeah,
love
for
that
sure.
fool.
Good vibes. Yeah.
He's a genius. Some geniuses, Sam, and everyone else that's a genius. Like you have it tough, bro. Like
sure.
I see the struggle of the genius. Like it's hard to be like so smart that like you're not able to like function properly.
Yeah, I
almost.
remember like last summer you were kind of like trying to work it out with her after like shit just kind of hit the fan.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess
That was a different girl. I got cheated
Oh.
on twice, actually, super brutally. But that was probably my fault. But nah, it was them hoes. Yeah, no. Different girl.
okay, right. Okay. You're a bit of a you're a bit of a lover boy, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Nah, I hate everyone, dog.
Okay. All right. All
It's
right.
not true. If you know me, that's so not true.
Yeah, I mean, who really knows? But as soon as that Walmart deal comes in,
Shit. Big
uh-oh.
Walmart deal coming in. And
Big.
so you have context, because you don't have context right now. Someone was like, if do you feel like getting sponsored is selling out? And I was like, if you think so, then you've never been poor. And I was like 16 when I said that, so I don't know if that's the best thing. I still think it's chill. I'm 25. It's been like 9 years of sitting on it. I think it's still a good statement.
Yeah,
But-
I think so.
But yeah, like if I was gonna sell out, I'd sell it to Walmart for $1 million and shit all day.
Mm-hmm.
Like no questions asked.
No questions.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
if you get it, you get it. If you don't, fuck yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So boards, you don't have any. Well, I mean, don't people shape you logs? Like, isn't that a thing? Or like, have you ever had support from a sponsor? Like, I feel like you are pretty good. I'm not really like a cool guy, like single fin guy, but I can definitely spot good surfing and when I see it. I feel like a lot of those guys that like surf for some of the brands, like kind of the alternative craft dudes, like I feel like you're pretty much on par with. Is it because you don't travel or? Yeah. Have you ever been sponsored?
Yeah, there's been a bunch of people that supported me, like Jed Knoll, Greg Knoll's son. He gave me boards.
Nice.
Infinity Surfboards, they gave me boards. Weston in Oceanside.
Oh
he
yeah,
gave me
I've had a
boards.
Weston before.
Yeah, they're sick.
Cool.
Gato Heroy, Robin Kegel, he hooked it up like 3 or 4 boards, some wetsuits and shit like that. But yeah, the thing with board sponsors and longboarding is like each board's like $1,200 or some shit. So it's like a big ask to be like,
Yeah.
will you give me this thing that I don't have to give back to you?
Right. But
So-
you do have some Instagram presence. Last I remember.
I bought them all.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. And Instagram posted me on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think. Oh no, that wasn't. No, I never knew that.
I don't know. I used to do these edits. I'd take photos of surfing and then I'd take out the sky and put like a mountain or like a galaxy or some shit
Oh nice.
behind it. And then so they reposted one of those things I made like in a day. I got like 100,000 followers
Oh wow.
because they were following like Obama, Kim Kardashian, me, and like another person.
Instagram was following you.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
like they would pick an artist, like a featured artist, and like blow him up pretty much.
Hell yeah.
And so I got blown the fuck up, but then it was like not a surfing crowd.
Right. So they all kind of like dwindled away or something.
No, I ended up blocking Instagram
Oh wow.
from following me because it was like such an influx that I was like didn't want it.
Okay.
So I like blocked them and then unblocked them so they'd unfollow me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like, dude, just the fact that they were following me, people would go on Instagram's page,
Of
see
course.
they're following me, and then like follow me. So I got like a crazy amount of followers. None of them surfed. So I was like, oh, I want my audience, not this
Right.
random audience.
Right.
And so yeah, the 30K is literally a remnant of that from 2017.
Okay.
So I probably have like 2,000 actual followers.
Okay. Interesting.
Like the other 28,000 is
You don't
from
even
this
know.
random thing that Instagram did.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
but
wild.
I also don't really know because like Instagram's like a crazy thing. You could get super into it or not be into it, and I'm kind of like in the middle.
Okay.
Like I'll delete it for 6 months, but then I'll post 8 stories a day for like 3 months, but then
Right.
then I'll delete it again for 6
Yeah.
months. Like it's literally like, oh, I just started classes. Oh, I got a 70 on my exam. Delete Instagram.
Got it. Yeah.
And then if I like do better on the exam, then I'll re-download Instagram
Cool.
and start talking.
Yeah,
about
the
shit.
relationship with technology is definitely like one to be like not taken lightly, and like just making sure you're using it in like a healthy way. It can get a
Oh, I'm
little
so unhealthy with it.
distracting.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. I mean, yeah, you just got to be careful. There's so much information, and we weren't really like designed to consume it all at once, you know. And so you got to be careful what you expose yourself to. I feel like.
I feel like we talked about that in like
Did we?
direct message or something.
Oh no.
Kind of like a little bit of like
Did we?
yeah, just kind of like like it's like the Darkhold. Any Marvel nerds out there know what I'm talking about? It's this
Yeah.
book, and you open it, and it gives you like all the information in the universe,
Yeah.
and it like melts your brain essentially. And so like Instagram feels like that. You know, you have like wars happening and like people being like genocide this and like other people be like politics that and like a lot of, coming at you at all times. And
Yeah.
so I feel like sometimes it's like can get
It can get like an echo chamber too, where it's
Mhm.
like everyone's just like jumping on and
a
like
bandwagon.
yeah, like, and it's just like like, and it's like, well,
So yeah, it's hard to be like super unique in that realm of like
Okay.
Instagram and stuff because it really strips your individuality, in my opinion.
yeah, I was gonna say like, yeah, we were just talking about this, like, I don't know, I just feel like one of the highest forms of like just being is like being authentic, you know,
Mhm.
just being who you are. And it gets a little tricky with social media and like 'cause how you're perceived, and it's like you say something and it's kind of on there and like gets a little weird. But I was gonna say, what's up?
You have
Go
like
ahead.
access to all this information to make you feel
Yeah.
things. It's like
Yeah.
designed to like make you feel,
Of course,
and
and
then
like
you
the
can
best,
share that and shit. You know?
right? And like the most I guess the content that like does best on the platform is typically like divisive
Mhm.
content where people are like responding, reacting negatively or positively.
Clickbait. Yeah.
Yeah, and
like
so
we're
it
talking
gets
about,
like
yeah.
kind of gnarly too sometimes with some of these like creators because they're like that's what they're chasing, and so the stuff they're making can kind of become like I guess divisive and stuff. But I was gonna say about the followers is because like I guess it's not really surfing, but that's kind of a way that you can leverage and get boards and stuff.
Mhm,
And
totally.
typically it just helps out a little bit.
It's cool that you see that because when I was sophomore or junior in high school, I was like, why do I have Instagram? This shit's stupid. And I was like, it's a tool to help me accomplish things essentially. And so I was like, what do I want to accomplish? I was like, I want to travel and surf.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, so what should I show them? Like me surfing good, because if they look at my Instagram, they're like, oh, we need someone to go on this trip and surf good for us. And they see my Instagram and I'm surfing good, they might pick
Yeah.
me. you
Yeah.
know? And so that's why I was like, Instagram's just a tool. I don't really have anything else I want to show off,
For
like
sure.
I do other shit, but not worth showing anyone. Like longboarding was kind of the only thing where I was like, I put a shit ton of time into this, and like there's people way better than me, but then like I like surf okay, like I'm gonna share this with people and shit kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'm kind of interested in like, I mean, just was longboarding just the boards that were like available to you, and so that's what you went with, or you just kind of identified more with like the crew that was logging, like.
Yeah, it goes back to like the lowers thing that we were talking about earlier. Like
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
just not being like given a board to ride at lowers, but then like like Jan Pacino and like Brennan CP and like Bradford Walters and like a bunch of the OG Santa crew, like we're like take this brand new $1,200 Gato and go ride it for 8 hours. And I was like,
Oh,
you're my people, bro.
yeah,
Like this
yeah.
is so sick. And like
That's yeah.
putting in time at lowers and like not really getting to ride boards and shit. Or if I did, the guy would be like, all right, bring him back and vibey. And then
For
to go
sure.
to Sano and have this guy be like, here's some pizza, ride my board, here's a cool shirt that I made. I was just like, whoa, these guys are so sick. And so I just
Yeah,
wanted to be accepted and welcomed by them, because I was like,
dude, for sure.
these are cool people.
Yeah.
And they were really welcoming and like giving to me. And so I just kind of like, and yeah, like literally the reason I got in the longboarding, I was like, you can be a poor longboarder and it's chill.
Yeah, I was gonna. I
You
was.
can't be a poor shortboarder. No one like is like, oh, what a cool poor shortboarder. But like, there's a full on scene in longboarding that's like, you look poor and it's cool.
Yeah, your parent, like low-key, your parents are like super.
Low-key, you might be balling for sure. There's like mostly that. But
Yeah.
as a young kid, I didn't know that. I was like, these people look poor like me. Let's go hang out with them, And then I was like, oh, you're rich and you don't like me. Like, okay. But yeah, at the time, I was like, no, they'll totally accept me because they're poor too. That
Yeah.
it sure has holes in it and there's art on it and shit like that. So I was like, and there's hella people that like are authentic and genuine. And even the people that are like coming across as like something else than maybe they grew up in shit. Like I know I say I hate everyone and shit, but I love everyone. Like,
Yeah,
I think
no,
everyone's
I
sick
know
as
you
fuck.
do, Yeah,
Like everyone has really great qualities. about
totally.
them.
So you were like gravitated more like the community aspect, and I totally agree with you, man. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I
the community,
totally
for
agree with
sure.
you. Like, kind of the longboarding and like like more like that sort of vibe. Like just like I mean, for me, I'm exposed to that at Malibu, the only place I really go to like
Yeah.
get exposed. I'm not going to Santa. I'm not going to like different
It's unique in that
logging
sense too that
destinations.
you can have like a shredder on a shortboard and a shredder on a longboard together.
Mhm.
Like nowhere in Orange County has really that environment
Yeah.
where you're like, oh, that's one of the best shortboarders around and one of the best longboarders around fighting for waves.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is one of the thing like the community aspect
Mhm.
of like that, just longboarding in general and stuff like that. It's just more cruisy, dude. You're not like fucking pissed off all the time and just trying to dog for waves and
That's
stuff.
why people
like,
hate high pros.
Yeah,
Because it's
dude,
like, leave that where it belongs. If you
for
want to
sure.
perform, go perform. Do
Yeah.
a giant fucking air.
I like, and there's more women that like log and hang out and surf with us, and like that's cool.
That's a good
And, like,
point.
there's more
Longboarding is like
community,
a sexy thing. Like
for
it
sure.
complements
Super
female
sexy.
surfing. There was an interview about Cassie Amidor, and I forget who was speaking, but they were essentially like, yeah, guy longboarders like rip and they're good, but like watch Cassia. Like there's like this feminine grace and beauty that complements the style of surfing really well.
Mm-hmm.
And like I agree, like longboarding almost comes across like feminine. Like, which seems weird, but I'm confident in saying that because motherfuckers told me I was a fairy and ballerina and shit growing up at Creek and shit. They'd be like, fucking fairy. And I'd be like, all right, eat a dick. Like, whatever, fight me, bro, on the beach. Like, because I'd like to cross step and do spins and shit. To them, that was like fairy shit. Like, they were doing blowtails. I'm like spinning on my board. So to them, it's like
Yeah.
dancing or I don't know what their deal is. But yeah, definitely. I was like, yeah, it's kind of feminine.
Yeah, it's
I don't
super.
know.
I tell you one thing, like, obviously you always had a log around, like growing up here and there, but it's definitely been super fun to like get on some different stuff and just like feel that and feel more calm and like having more of like a restorative session rather than like coming in at like pissed off.
Totally.
I pretty much just ride like a twin. I mean, I never really ride a shortboard in Malibu, just a twin fin. But
I just realized like I'm like talking about longboarding and shortboarding, but I'm like getting into like Confucianism, like misogyny and shit like that. Cause like,
of course you are, man. I mean, you're in school, like.
but it's a thing for sure. Like to explain what I'm talking about, Confucianism is what made like women are this and men are that. Like
Mhm.
women are quiet and weak and docile, and men are strong and loud and like this
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it made it really black and white to be like a woman is this thing and a man is this thing. And
Mhm.
so it's interesting that I'm like speaking of longboarding in those terms because there's just sick ass dude longboarders and a bunch of sick ass girl shortboarders. It's not like one for each of them, but for me personally, like I feel like longboarding complements a woman's style and shortboarding complements a man's style really well. Not to say like a girl can't shortboard and a guy can't longboard and shit, but it's just like a really good female longboarder is
Shortboarding's
incredible.
more of like an attacking kind of.
Yeah, and shortboarding is like really
Hunt.
like, damn, like you're putting your fucking life on the line, charging the box and shit. Like, it's like almost tough guy type shit. So when you see girls charging chopu and shit and like pushing those boundaries for women, and it's like, yeah, it's not just women can be, like longboarders and aesthetically pleasing. Like we can also be fucking gnarly and shred and shit like that. Like that
Yeah.
shit's badass to me. So I think it's interesting, but yeah, that's a big part of surfing. Is like I think surf culture probably did that too. Like Roxy is like a longboard company in your head, when I think of it at least. Like I don't think of a bunch of girls shortboarding. I think of like all the longboard team like Kelia and Cassia and all that. When I think of shortboard, I think of like Andy Irons and Kelly and all these dudes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry, I'm gonna get a White Claw after this brief. What do you say? Brief advertisement, commercial break, some
Advertisement.
shit
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean?
Let's do an advertisement. Mountain Valley Water. Mountain Valley Water. Pure, fine, authentic. America's premium water since 1871. You want to blast off into the fourth dimension? Drink some of this before your yoga or meditation, and you can too exist with higher dimensional beings. You are a beam of light, Mountain Valley. He's back.
It feels so good, refreshed.
Refreshed. No laws when you're drinking White Claws.
I don't drink. I'm like a hardcore stoner. I'm on my fourth White Claw. Like this interview's gonna get crazy. Like, is that
We're gonna have to cut it. We're gonna have to cut him
We're
off.
sleeping outside of Chase's house. Oh, dreams in the dark.
We're gonna have to cut him off, dude.
Ain't no cutting me off.
That's funny. Dreams in the dark. Okay. Anyways, let's do this. My friend wrote this book. It's called End Small Talk, and it's just a fun little exercise. So flip open a page, and we talk about whatever page you flip open, and you could pick one of the sides.
A homeless man begs you for money, and you give him $5. Later, you see him on the sidewalk enjoying a beer. How do you feel about it? Do I answer or do you answer?
We both answer. You can go
Okay.
ahead.
I can go ahead. Should we share an anecdote?
You give a homeless man $5, and then you see him basically drinking he spent
your money
on beer,
substances.
pretty much.
Substance abuse.
Pretty
is
much.
what's happening. How do I feel about it? Immediately beat the shit out of him. Take all this shit. Yeah, no mercy. How about I'm homeless as fuck. If I asked you for $5 and I had a beer, and you beat the shit out of me, I'd be like, you're kind of a dick. Like, honestly. So I'm a hypocrite. I don't know what to say. Let's ask Chase. Chase.
No, I mean, if I give someone $5, it's just like, it's really none of my business what they spend it on.
Damn, that's a take.
Yeah. It's just not. Like, if I wanted him to, like, have food with it or wanted to have this with it. Because I know, dude. I know what's up. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
So
I can spot, someone who's going to buy beer or drugs with some money I give them. So if I give them that money, I already know where it's going mostly.
I back it.
So that's where I'm at. If I wanted them to have food, I would take them inside and buy them food, or I'd give them food.
Well, we were at Sun Life earlier, me and my dog, and this homeless guy came up, and he's just way nicer than I am. He's got like nice ass fucking Adidas like slips on.
How do you know he's homeless?
Cause like, I mean, yeah, you're right. I should be more respectful to homeless people.
Unhoused is the proper.
Housing indecent.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they told me I am. They're like, you're not homeless, you're housing indecent. I was like, oh, bet. Thanks.
You're like, fuck you.
So this housing indecent ass fool came up to me in Sun Life. I'm trying to get my girl this nice ass Wolverine smoothie for $16. I worked Uber Eats all day for this shit. Homie comes up to me like, hey man, will you buy me a smoothie? And I looked at him and went, no.
Yeah, you're like, bro, what?
I was like, I'm broke as hell. Like,
yeah,
no.
look at your Adidas. Like,
He has a way nicer fit than I do with a brand new dog and shit that costs money. Dogs cost money. He has a nice dog. Anyway, I'm like, and then he looks to the girl behind me and she goes, no. And then he goes up to the next girl and, can you buy me a smoothie? Went to every single person in line at Sun Life. Can you buy me a smoothie? Can you buy me a smoothie? And I'm like,
You're like, can you buy me a smoothie,
like the balls
bro?
of this fucking guy. And he finds this one lady and she goes, yeah, I'd love to, you know. She buys him a smoothie and he walks outside and he's like sitting there. And I look at the lady, I'm like, yo, that's so sweet of you. I didn't tell her like, hey, he's a junkie
Hey,
and he's
fuck that
using
guy.
you. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was just like, you're so sweet. And this poor lady, she's like, I'm gonna get divorced. My husband works all the time. Like, you know, she's like bawling her eyes out. And this fucking junky ass dude just came up and totally took advantage of this nice lady. Meanwhile, I'm standing there, like, having to work for like all my shit, buying that Sun Life smoothie for my girl because I work for it. And I have this guy who could have worked for it asking me to buy. I was just like, nah, that,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
fuck
that's
this
all
shit,
good. Sound
you
the
know?
fuck off, you know?
So, like, yeah, like, I think if I gave a homeless man $5 and I saw him with a beer, like, I don't know. The other day I went to Malibu and some guy was like, hey, I'm trying to get a beer. And so I bought him a beer. I was like,
Totally, yeah.
so yeah, if he just asked me for the beer, I'd be like stoked.
Happens all the time at the
If
7
he lied to me, though, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, he tells you straight up, hey, I want a fucking beer,
I
dude.
would get him a fucking beer.
Yeah, it's
If he
like,
told me, like, I
word.
need it for my child to go
or
to
can I get a
college,
sandwich? Or can I get some pizza?
and then he had a beer, I'd be pissed. Yeah.
or,
I
this
just don't want
dude
to get
asked
lied
me for a
to.
glizzy one time, and I was like, for
What
sure.
kind of glizzy?
You know, just a regular old, like,
Blowjob?
beef glizzy.
Oh, I see.
Actually, when I was like
$5.
super young, I got
Where's he at? No, I'm just kidding.
wild. Let's talk about your school, man.
Let's get serious.
Before that White Claw gets.
Before the glizzy
I just
talk.
want to talk because, like, when I saw you and we talked through it all, I know we already kind of like combed over it, but yeah, man, you got super into this path of civil engineering, and you want to sort of like restructure the your whole mission is like the water system, is that right?
Dude, yeah, you nailed it, bro.
You want to kind of like integrate the land with the water system in a more like natural way, or
This is my fucking dog right here.
yo,
dude.
I
This is
listen,
my fucking
man.
dog.
Hey,
like,
hey,
yeah,
yo.
you nailed that shit, bro.
Is that okay? Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, so I could like talk about this for 8 hours, right?
I mean, give us some information, like what, you know, where did this inspiration come from? How did it pique your interest? And then sort of like, what's the journey to get there?
Yeah. So, trying to think of which version. I have like a 3-minute version, a 50-minute version, like an 8-hour version. So I'll give you like the 3-minute one
Yeah,
essentially.
let's start with that, and I'll maybe ask some follow-ups.
As a young kid,
Mountain Valley water.
as a young kid, I was like hungry and thirsty as fuck all the time, and like had housing insecurities, and I was like, this shit's ass, bro. Like, and my parents, I didn't feel like they were taking care of me as good as I could have taken care of me, and I thought that was bullshit. And I was like, what do I need? And I was like, I need food, water, and shelter. And I guarantee if I had food, water, and shelter, I'd do way better by myself than my parents did by me. Like, that was all I needed to succeed, you know? And, like, they couldn't even give me that shit kind of thing at that time. So it was, like, from a young age, I was, like, you know, when you're 6 and faced with, like, food insecurities, you're like, what is life, you know? Like, oh, can I just get my own food? Like, no, I can't access water. I can't plant my own food. I don't have access to land. You know, like, all of a sudden, like, these, like, issues that a lot of people, I feel like, don't even consider it were just, like, major issues to me, like, water access, land access, like how we live, all these things that are basic necessities. I had to be like a 6-year-old, like, how do I get these things and shit, you know?
You know, it's crazy. Like, I definitely know this exists
Mhm.
in our country, but like, dude, that's just like, it exists.
Yeah,
But
it's
it
real
also
as fuck.
it's also not super common, right? How often do you meet someone with that situation?
Dude, I thought it'd be all the time. It's like never.
Never, right?
Yeah,
like
it's
that's
rare.
wild, man. Like,
Yeah.
you really like, dude, you guys were down pretty bad, like, and
Yeah.
it's crazy because we sit here and we think, yeah, man, pretty much everyone has access to food, water, and shelter. Like, it's
Mhm.
our society kind of is set up and
It's like a
backed
natural
off in
right
different
almost,
ways. Yeah. But then you have these cases where, like,
It's not a natural right. Yeah, you have
yeah,
to
and
like.
if your basic needs aren't met, man, like mentally,
Like,
it
I remember
really
being
takes
like
a toll on you.
4 or 5, and I stole a Slurpee, and I felt bad about it. But I was like, man, I'm a kid. I deserve a Slurpee. and I was skating across the street and I hit a stop rock and I fell and I dropped the Slurpee, and I like broke down, bro. I was sitting there crying, and this guy got out of his car. I was in front of. He was about to hit me. He had a slam on his brakes to not hit me, and I dropped my. And I was just like so sad. And he was just like picked me up and was like, "You're gonna be all right. Like, go get it and shit like that." And like that was like, how I went about things and shit like that. Like just stealing food to eat and shit like that. So like, it was so normal to me. Like I had a brother that had to do it. I had cousins that had to do it. I had to do it. It felt like everyone had to do it. Then I got older and I was like, what? This is crazy for me. Like specifically, like in my situation, it's crazy. Like I thought everyone was, kind of dealing with that shit. Like, but gaslighting's a motherfucker. Like getting told something is one thing when it's not.
What, like your parents?
Yeah, like. Yeah, and just in general, just being like told like you have a white picket fence upbringing, but then like not having food and water, and you're like, how I'm feeling doesn't match with what you're saying. This is crazy.
Who has told you that?
A lot, yeah. Like
why? What would they get that from?
I think like guilt, like not wanting to be like, oh, I put someone through this shit. So they would just rather be like, it didn't happen.
Whoa.
Everything's perfect.
Whoa.
Yeah, crazy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like gaslighting on like another level where it's like they don't want that reality, so they reject it, and they need you to reject it too, so they don't have to face it. As like a 6-year-old, I'm like, damn, this shit's fucked up, bro. Like, and so yeah, I was over it. I was like, this shit's fucked up. I'm over it. And I was like, what is the fucking problem? And I was like, the fucking problem is the water.
Right.
Because water gives you food, and food gives you a shelter. And if you don't have these things, then you can't do shit.
So you couldn't just get the water like from the sink?
Like, nah, I was homeless.
You were in a car.
Living at like random people's houses and shit. Like my dad had a fucking truck that I slept in the like truck bed with no camper and shit. Yeah. Like, and like he would get he would get office spaces and use them as apartments and shit like that.
Because they were cheaper. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have like bathrooms and stuff.
Like I used to wake up in the middle of the night and I would like put my hand like against my brother's arm like this. Like my brother would freak out. He'd be like, don't fucking touch me. But I would be like terrified that like I was going to get left in this apartment office space like alone.
So like, you would like want to touch him to know he was
there. Like because if he left, I'd like know that he left. Right. Shit like that. Like I was like straight up terrified to just be like left in spaces from like till I was like, yeah, I'm still like that.
No, I mean,
I haven't
like
got out of it yet.
Like
I live in an RV that's broken down in San Clemente still to this day. Like, not even gonna lie. Like,
no, I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, like that's like, because everyone has like little things and patterns and different like programming from their childhood. Whether it's like, I mean, honestly, some of the most like wealthy people I know are like kind of the most like fucked up, and that doesn't discount what you're going through. I'm just saying at all levels there's like different programming that you have to clear and kind of get away from.
I've seen affluent situations where I was like, I don't want any of that. I would not trade my situation for this person that has like lives off Sarah Road, and like knowing their situation, never in a million years would trade what they have for what I have, because it was like, but they're like, maybe billionaire, like so much capital that you couldn't even imagine, but it's like the shit they've experienced is so awful that like I would take being poor and having not experienced that.
Right.
So like, yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like it's on and that's why water management and civil engineering is so impactful to me, because if you can change water and you can change the food, and you can change how you live, then you'll change our ego and super ego, which is our upper levels of consciousness. So it's like if your car's broken and you keep changing the steering wheel because your tires are flat, like that shit don't make no sense. Like change your tires because your tires don't work.
Right.
So it's, for me, it's like if our whole system is creating these things instead of working at these upper tier issues like social services and environmental justice and shit like that. It's like if I changed how we manage our water systems, and that changed how we manage our food, and that changed how we live, we would have totally different problems. Maybe even none of the same problems. So working on these problems that we have right now don't make any sense to me until I like have a strong foundation. Because our foundation right now, as far as our water goes, is really weak. If you live in LA, your water rights are like horrible. It's illegal to collect your own rainwater in California. All of our natural waterways are concrete embankments that are 45-degree angle concrete banks that keep the water in, limit erosion. Erosion is what brings sediment to the beaches.
Absolutely.
Sediment to the beaches is what keeps the beaches fulfilled. That's what keeps the houses from falling into the water and shit like that. So
what keeps the sandbars good, dude?
keeps the waves good.
Yeah.
It keeps the ecology, the environment,
Right,
the ecosystem,
yep,
capitalist,
the plant life, animal life.
literally go. And if you go up to a human and you're like, hey, you're fucking with the button celery, they're gonna look at you and be like, eat a dick. But if you're like, hey, you're gonna lose $1 billion in the next like 10 years based off like where you chose to build this house because of these water infrastructure issues, they would like be like, that's a lot of capital I'm about to lose. I'm gonna listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I went, instead of like environmental science, I went into civil engineering, because it's like I want to be able to come at people and be like, hey, you're gonna lose like crazy amounts of money if you keep doing certain things, like limiting waterways from bringing sediment to the beaches and shit like that.
Amazing. Yeah. Rivers carry sediment to the ocean. Yeah. I remember that oceanography class.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like ingrained in
Watershed
my mind.
cycle, yeah.
100%. Yeah.
It's a big deal, yeah.
It comes from the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the orographic effect.
But I
makes
mean, the
clouds,
whole
which rains and
infrastructure
comes down, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. The whole infrastructure is kind of ass backwards, and like what we've prioritized is like, I don't know, it's people kind of typically leading from like
short-term asset
ego
allocation.
and fear, and not really leading from the heart or love. But cool, man. I love that sort of stuff, and I hope to see you just in a few years now. Where are you at with all of it? Like, how many credits do you have?
I have 90 units right now, so I just technically finished my third year. I'm like what they call a rising junior.
Yeah, 90 feels like you're at UCLA almost.
Yeah,
right?
I got 2 associate's degrees recently. I got my natural science associate degree, and I got a general studies associate degree.
Because I used to do like between 12 and 18 a semester, and so that's. So you have plenty. You're way over on credits, right?
Normal majors have to get 60 units,
but you just
engineering majors have to get 90 to 120 units.
Yeah, and you probably had to. Did you have to start from some super low math, and it took you a long time?
No, thankfully, when I was in high school, I don't know why I chose to do honors pre-calc, but I did.
Yeah, so you came right into
so like I went straight into pre-calc again.
Into pre-calc.
Because for my situation in school, I graduated in 2017. And I was homeless, so I couldn't get financial aid. So I had to pay like thousands of dollars out of pocket to go to school for the first like year. And then I had to do an AB 540, which is a homeless verification youth form, where I had to get a clergy member to notarize my statement. Which in like normal words is like I had to get a clergy member, which is like a church person, to pretty much be like, River's been homeless this long, to get financial aid. Like, and it took like 4 or 5 years to like find a clergy member that knew my situation well enough to like notarize it. And so once I accomplished all that stuff, then I was able to like get back into college and shit like that. But I graduated in 2017, and it took me 4 years. Shout out Rivka and Brian Bent. They brought me to their house, and they were like, we've seen River living in his car since 16, pursuing an education, and blah, 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 blah. And they sent that to my school, and then my school sent me a thing back that was like, okay, we verify you as like a homeless youth because this clergy member said that you were. And then once I got that, then I was able to get financial aid and then go to school and get the thousands of dollars that I was paying out of pocket reimbursed to me and shit like that. So it was like a fucking 4-year battle to like get into college. And then another 3 years of like all of computer science, all of chemistry, all of physics, and all of math up to differential equations and linear algebra. So it's like 90 units that I have to do. But I did it all, and I have a 3.0. So this semester I can transfer somewhere. Hopefully somewhere will take me. And then in like a year and a half or 2. You're going to apply to Long Beach? Probably.
Yeah, you should.
I don't know. Anyone that knows, let me know.
A lot of scholarships too. Make sure you're like locking in.
Yeah, I don't work, so that's how I like have gotten through the last few years, is like just scholarships and grants and shit.
Yeah, and FAFSA and stuff like that.
And Uber Eats. Those last few months has been dope. I've been making some money. Anyone poor, get Uber Eats if you have a car and shit. It's sick.
Yeah. Okay. Dude, exciting stuff, man. Like overcoming a lot, and it's funny because you carry yourself so well, and you would never really know. Every time I see you, you're smiling, you're happy, you're at the beach, you're with
Yeah.
you got friends around you, and it's just, yeah, man, it's really cool. You're still like keeping it pretty positive around, and like, I
Yeah,
like that,
optimism is
man.
huge.
Yeah, you're still like laughing all the time and
Yeah.
like smiling and like getting waves, and I mean,
My motto is hope for the best, expect nothing. So,
cool
you know, you
words
can
to live by.
you can always be like, "Oh, I hope I do this." Like, I really hope it comes my way, but don't be upset if it doesn't. You expect it to not, Be like, if Chase is like, "Dude, River, let's do this interview." Like, I'm going to expect that even if I'm excited he's going to cancel. But I'm going to hope that we're going to do this interview and we're going to nail it and it's going to be sick, and then the fucking CEO of Apple's going to see me and be like, "This kid's sick and he's going to hire me." I'll hope for all that shit.
Mhm.
I just not going to expect anything cuz I don't want to get let down and shit like that. So I think that's kind of like what I've been living by, is like always hoping for things to go your way, but know that they're not going to. Like, and that's how I smile all the time, like, for real.
Yeah. Walmart, if you're watching this,
Dude, sponsor me, please. Dude, they would be the best sponsor. Chicken, like
everything.
clothes. Fucking, you want a Nintendo Switch? Sponsor. Like, what auto parts, like tires, camping materials, that weird cool little princess fishing rod that like extends. Sickest sponsor ever.
On 100%.
Kalohe had Target. That was pretty close.
Target was a good one. I think a couple, yeah.
He had a Nike 6.0 and a Target sticker.
I remember the Nike 6.0,
Dope.
dude, back in the day.
Yeah, with the like that logo.
Yeah. Wicked, man. So yeah, you're starting up school next week. What else is on the horizon before we wrap this up?
I'm about to finish this program with Cornell where I'm doing artificial intelligence and machine learning. I just started building an AI chatbot for a group called the Goldhirsch Foundation. And they are organizing a chatbot with AI. So it's like, if I type in like, "I'm Chase, I have a podcast, I live in LA, and I want funding to do this thing," then using AI would match you with scholarships or nonprofit organizations that might support you.
Nice.
So I'm doing the back end of that, where I'm developing this artificial intelligence that's going to be able to take semantic it's called semantic search, which essentially means like it'll take all the synonyms of what you're saying, search it, and then apply that to like the most relevant information for you. And so essentially it's just like, "Oh, we matched you with this like filmmaking scholarship that's going to support you in your podcast," kind of thing. So what I'm building is essentially an AI bot called LA 2050 that'll take all the nonprofits in LA and match them with impacted groups that like need those nonprofits, essentially. So all the people that are like, "AI is scary, AI is taking jobs, AI is doing this and doing that," it's like kind of similar to like, guns don't shoot people, humans shoot people. Like,
Right.
AI doesn't hurt people like humans hurt people. Like, AI is just a tool that we use. And so I think that's really exciting to be able to use AI in a way that's like positive and impactful in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when I hear about people talking about AI, it's like they're talking about Terminator. They're like, "This robot's gonna take my job and kill my family." It's like, now I can also like create a chatbot that'll like bring nonprofit organizations together with people that need them and shit like that.
Right.
So working on that project,
Cool.
finishing up physics 4C and differential equations and transferring to colleges.
Differential equations. Okay.
Yeah, DiffyQ's fun. It's like
Nice.
integrating a lot of it.
Yeah, I never went quite that high. Calc 2 is where I stopped.
Yeah, so you got to integration,
Yeah.
which is like for the math nerds, it's like,
Dude, I'm like a little bit of a math nerd. Like, I loved
you
being
could take
in
a derivative
calculus.
and you could take an antiderivative.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the study of antiderivatives, essentially, which like math
been
nerds,
years.
hell yeah.
But I had an amazing professor for both Calc 1 and 2. He was like from Mexico, Jose Villalobos. I will say fuck pre-calc. It's honestly
Fuck pre-calc.
It was harder than Calc 1 and Calc 2. And I took it in like a 5-week rush semester, and I just got fucked.
Ass, bro.
Dude, I think it was the only C I got in college.
for someone that hasn't taken
It was
that course,
fucking
it's
crazy, dude.
it's like natural log of 2 raised to the e raised to the 2 plus 4 raised to like x.
Yo,
It's
there
like,
was,
why,
it was
bro?
like, yeah, it was like so much calculus and then so much algebra, and you just like mess up one little, like the equation would be like a full piece of paper.
And you mess up the top part, and everything else is fucked.
Next thing you know, you're just fucked, and the teacher's like Russian and barely speaks English, and then you're just like, nah, fuck you, and then you get a C.
So for anyone that thinks I'm stupid, it's because I want you to think I'm stupid. Like, for real.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I always get like same kind of vibe. You know, we surf. Everyone likes to like. It's like, bitch, I took calculus.
Yeah, like
1
sorry,
and
I have
2,
blonde
and I got an
hair.
A.
Like, yeah, that's gangster as hell.
Yeah,
like
dude.
a bunch of people that have normal ass lives don't even do that, and you're out
100%.
surfing and doing shit, and
We're
you're doing
pulling
that.
in. We're pulling in.
So any surfer out there that they feel like, they're good
Yeah,
at this
you're
shit.
smart. You're smart.
You're smart. Get
Yeah.
out there. Pursue
smart.
school. Sign
You're
up for
successful.
classes. It's sick as fuck. I can't be like, it worked out for me, you should do what I'm doing, because it hasn't worked out for me yet.
It's
But
working out.
in 2 years, me and Chase are gonna have this interview, and you're gonna be like, "Damn, River came up," and I'm gonna be like, "I
Yo.
called that shit in this 2024 interview," and then 2028, I'm gonna be pulling up, balled out, Gucci. I was about to say some shit. I was gonna say. So
Oh man, I think that's gonna do it for us tonight. So awesome to have River out here, man. So good to see
This was so
you.
fun.
Yeah.
we got to do that 2028 interview.
2028, he's coming back. Be ready.
Grilled out, bling, drip.
Bling, drip, new car.
I'm gonna get Gen Z tattooed on my face right here.
Yeah, face tats.
Rep that shit.
All right.
Anyone that's bummed to be Gen Z, don't. It's sick.
Are you you're Gen Z?
I'm Gen Z as fuck.
You're like the first.
Lil Peep. Lil Peep.
Yeah.
Like, save that shit. Like, haunt you.
Like he died, honestly.
He died, bro. Let's just talk about Juice WRLD for a second. Alright.
What do you want to say about Juice WRLD? And then we're out.
You should end it at that, though.
All right, let's talk about Juice WRLD and goodbye. Peace.